Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Game Hub. I'm your host, GamerK, and continuing on with my Spider-Month theme videos, I am finally going over last year's marvel of a video game, Spider-Man 2. And when Insomniac does their own take on something, boy, do they do a lot of things differently from how it usually is. And for the most part, it was done beautifully and actually quite interesting, I'm not gonna lie. Starting 10 months after the ending of Miles Morales, which I like that they didn't do immediately after. They gave us some time to have Miles be Spider-Man for a little bit, and I had to double check this. In the continuity of this game, Peter Parker has been Spider-Man for 8 years, from high school to being a young adult, which, excuse me, definitely feels like he is, and that he's had that experience to be seasoned, and Miles still coming off as a bit of a rookie, which I still get. I like that they didn't do it, that he's mastered everything by now. And the fact that they brought in a great villain to have the role of main threat. Okay, first main threat. I'm not gonna lie, I was when they showed the trailer for Kraven. No, not that Kraven. I don't even know why that's a thing now. But Kraven, I can't. Okay, yeah, I have a couple issues with him as the main villain and this version of Kraven to begin with. I mean, it feels like they had a strong idea of what they wanted to do, but my big problem is that Kraven has been in the city for a long time. And what they did, made them finally get the idea, make the Spider-Man figure it out, was Sandman going berserk. Although I'm going to be honest, what an opening. This may be one of the biggest and most amazing Sandman bosses and iterations to date. Having the entire portion of the city be a giant sandstorm and the giant colossus of Sandman, all the while it's Peter's first time trying to teach at Miles' school, and then he gets fired right off the bat. It definitely feels in key with what Spider-Man is, not being able to hold a job for that long. Well, to be honest, it's a lot better than him delivering pizzas to Emily Deschanel. For those of you who know that reference in Spider-Man 2, you're welcome. Hey, a Spider-Man 2 joke in a Spider-Man 2 game. Damn, I'm getting good. So, yeah. Kraven, again, great villain. I love the design of this one, but a big problem that a lot of people have with this is, for one thing, I don't know exactly how to basically say it, but okay, I'm trying to think of the right words here. I believe the words I'm looking for is, you killed 4 main villains right from the get-go. And we get one of them on screen. And the other we find out during MJ mission, of all things. Okay. I'm getting annoyed too easy. So let's start with the good things that are in this game. For one, the story is really good. I'm not gonna lie. Peter trying to figure out how to, stay a job while MJ's still working at the Bugle. And it's good to see their relationship has rekindled after the whole issue of the first game and also the DLC of that game. And it's good that they're fully together again, and MJ let her hair down, and I don't know why people are hating this much. I like MJ like this, and stop being rude to the actual actress and not the voice actress, because that's Laura Bailey, but the actual model of the character. Don't be so rude about it, guys. Although I still never got over the new Peter face, so that's an issue on its own. But overall, it's got a great segment with Peter just going through Aunt May's old house and going through a lot of the old memories there. And it really, really kind of showcases that we're playing a little bit as Peter and Spider-Man throughout this game. And I do love it. And then we have Miles, who's kind of fitting into the role of the new Spider-Man, while at the same time trying to balance what he wants for himself. Because, you're still in high school or going to college. I don't think we really got that whole thing straightened out. But again, it still encompasses a really good balance between each of the characters. Like, it doesn't focus on one character solely as much as it does another. Like, an example I could give is that in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, we kind of focused a little bit more on Jacob's story going after the Templars, and Evie comes in later on to clean up the mess that he makes with the issues. But in this game, we get to fully be Miles and Peter pretty evenly. They have their own unique side missions. They have their own unique missions that only each of them can do, which I do enjoy. It gives you a balance to switch between characters. And the way we switch characters is glorious. Also, I gotta say, I love how the fast travel system has changed. Instead of going on the subway and having the Spider-Man be have different versions of it while they're on the phone, just sitting next to someone, or on top of the subway, we just immediately skip over and see them swinging by into the area. It's a great idea having a fast travel that doesn't require a loading screen. So kudos to them. I would have loved... No, actually, you know what? I love everything. I love everything that they changed. We got a new glide mechanic, which is so beautifully done. Having the web suits come out just like a glide suit, and the ability to switch between it so effortlessly. You could be swinging 1 minute and then gliding through the air the other. It is such an amazing add-on to the Spider-Man arsenal. Speaking of the arsenal, they've also included the skill tree for both characters. As you do well in the game and do get experience points, you will be able to upgrade each character with their own special abilities and their own combat abilities, which is great. Now, a big issue that I have with this game, it's not a huge issue, it's just a small one. The number of gadgets has been greatly reduced, and not so much so, but we used to have eight of them with the weapon wheel, and we have now 5 gadgets to use, and we gotta I think we gotta customize them right away. We can't do the weapon wheel like we used to, and they got rid of the web bomb, which as you throw it, it creates an explosion which goops up the enemies. I miss that. I really, really miss it. It was one of my favorite ones during the stealth sections. But again, it doesn't take away too much from the overall enjoyment of gameplay and combat. And later on, I'll talk about the other abilities that we do get within the game as it continues. As for the story, it does the story justice. Having a new threat and some old allies return. We finally get Harry showing up. And little do people know, the actor and who plays Harry, the voice actor, and the model that they picked, played Ben 10 in the Cartoon Network movie Race Against Time, where it was the live action with Enoch. Yeah, Ben 10 is... Oh my God! They got Ben 10 to play Peter Parker, and now they have Ben 10 playing Harry Osborn. How do you get something so perfect like that? How? I just noticed it right now. That is great. And having Harry back gives us some old side mission, main mission flashbacks, which goes back to Peter Parker's days in high school, what he was doing with Harry. And it was I loved that kind of side mission where we're in the past playing as Peter, doing the Spider-Man kind of thing in the school. It was great. It was kind of nostalgic, considering we never got to do the Peter Parker thing in high school in this game. I mean, in one way, I kind of like that because it would be cliche, us learning the powers. But at the same time, you kind of want to. I mean, we got to do Arkham Origins, where it was Batman's first time, the first years of his career as Batman. So why not get the ability to do the Peter Parker stuff right from the get-go? I mean, if Insomniac ever does a prequel game, I wouldn't mind it. And then we get a whole lot more with Harry later on in the first half of the game. Now, but beforehand, we do get a big thing in this game right at the start. Kraven's men kidnapping Scorpion and Martin Lee. And seeing that, it stirs up a bunch of problems with Miles, because Lee is the one responsible for his father getting murdered in the first game. And all that feeling of anger and rage definitely gets to Miles very, very quickly. And it's a great reaction, kind of Peter trying to tell him it's not worth it. Like, you can't go out for revenge. But obviously Miles doesn't really listen that well. And it is here again, during the first little bit of the game, where we get Kraven's whole story. And again, again, this is a big issue for me. It's a very big issue. They killed 4 Spider-Man villains, and it's not that they are suspectedly dead. We get 1 on-screen death and 3 recordings in a later mission that Vulture, Scorpion, Shocker, and Electro are all dead. Because Kraven was killing them, finding someone who can finally kill him. And is it because it's the thrill of the hunt? I mean, was he going to keep them as trophies to prove that he defeated them? No! He's a dying man wanting a final challenge. You killed 4 old school villains just to give I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I don't. I mean, did the Batman games ever kill off great villains? Okay, I know, okay, that doesn't count. That was story-wise. So, stop. And again, the hunters are great enemies. And plus, they're cybernetic dogs, which can sense you within their... Even when Miles goes invisible, it can still sense you, which is great. And the vulture... Well, not the vulture, the cybernetic birds that they had that can patrol. I love how this game anticipated people's continued usage of Miles' stealth or Spider-Man and created those robotic creatures in order to snuff you out and to make combat a little and stealth a little bit difficult. Plus all the different environments that we get with the hunts, the blinds. But those are side stuff that I'll get to. And then later we get some of the greatest things in the game, which are Harry as using the symbiote suit. I'm not gonna lie, I figured they were gonna have Harry come back because they kind of foreshadowed it at the end of #1 and at the end of Miles Morales. But at the same time, I was 100% sure we were going to get an Eddie Brock coming out into this. On the flip side, I'm happy that they didn't, because Eddie's been in the spotlight now twice in a good number of years, and yeah, I don't want to accuse Insomniac of jumping on a bandwagon again. And having Harry come and help us during mini side missions or combat in open world was great. And I even love that sometimes when you're playing as one character, the other will come and help you out once in a while. And the story is just so good. It hits a good number of times and it feels really good. And the story, and the minute the story gets to the part where we finally get the black suit Peter, I'm a little mad we didn't get to hear him say shocker at all. But at the plus side, I'm also glad we didn't get what you guys... I made that joke twice in my last video, so let's just be glad we didn't get Peter doing what Peter did in the second movie. Dear God. And having the black suit powers, oh my God, they are glorious. As much as I loved it in Shattered Dimensions with the Marvels, with the comic style Marvel Spider-Man level, this one with the tendrils and the amazing moments of it. Also, when you do side missions in the black suit during this part of the story, Peter's attitude and responses are definitely unhinged. Also, a good fact is that as the story goes, the suit starts to be less of a suit, and you can even see as throughout the game, the suit will change drastically and become more flesh-like and creepy, which I do enjoy. Now and then finally we get to play as Venom for one mission after Spider-Man conquers, with a little help, conquers the symbiote, and it goes back to its original host and giving us the full-fledged Venom aesthetic. And okay, yes, we end up killing another villain. Again, I'm not mad at it, but at the same time, it feels right that they finally did that, because God damn it. It was creepy. It was perfect. And then later on, the entire city becomes Venom infested with his symbiotic creatures. And one little detail, I'm kind of going a little bit back and forth about the story because I don't want to do so much of the story. But one thing I do love is in the last half of the game, when the city is basically venomized, the map also showcases this, where the black tendrils are all over the city. It shows that in the map. Take a look. That is an added detail. That wasn't really necessary. I mean, they didn't need to do that, but it was a perfect showcasing. It was great. A small detail that I really liked. And the final final boss of this game is insane. Fighting with both Spider-Man against Venom in a great, impactful story, side mission, boss fight, where I'm not going to give so much away, but when you play it, you're going to love it. Also, this game has a melancholy ending, and it's somewhat tragic, it's sad, but it builds up, and what we get from it is somewhat, okay, yeah, I know, I'm talking about the final level, and I forgot that. Can we just pretend that didn't exist? Seriously, what were they thinking? Was this a way of some company getting their fashion for Spider-Man into the game? Because Miles, I don't know what the hell you're doing, and I'm not the only one to make a joke about it. Watch Nostalgia Critic's review of the of Across the Spider-Verse or Into the Spider-Verse, whichever one, and he makes the joke too. What were they thinking? But yeah, everything's kind of somber at first, and then we get kind of a great ending with Peter and MJ finally going through all of their crap and Miles having the reins as Spider-Man. I don't think they're going to he's fully retired. I'm pretty sure in the DLC, we're going to be getting more with Spider-Man. There's no going away from it. What other things? A future villain meets an old villain, where if we don't get it in the third game, I'm going to be freaking mad, because I don't know how to say it, because I don't want to spoil a lot for the game. Man, I've gone on about the story for a bit. There are some good things in the story, like it's a story about personal growth a good number of times. Like, it showcases that even though Peter's been doing this for a long time, it's hard for him to just give up the suit, and it's hard for him, and nowhere does that showcase more than when the black suit comes on, and the story continues there. And it showcases how Miles had to basically let go of his grudge of Martin Lee, Mr. Negative, and just move forward with everything. And in a crazy, not Scarecrow-esque level later in the game, we get to see what's really in Peter's mind. We get to see the raft where he puts all the supervillains, and they're all dead. Because even it's the symbiote basically telling Peter there's only one real way you can make sure these threats don't get out. Which, it's beautifully done. It's a great way of doing it. It's not Scorpion's poison drowned city or anything, but it still gets the job done. And then we get the anti-Venom suit, which I'm not going to lie. Again, I still love the black suit version. It's a lot better. But again, the combat in the game's basically much improved. Little bit of removing a couple of the gadgets may have been a choice, because we were going to get all these amazing abilities. The story does its job. It kind of gets a little cliche right around the second act. It's this black suit. What do you expect? So I do enjoy it. And we actually get a boss fight with Peter, which is brilliantly handled. I just wish it kind of went on a little bit longer. And we got bits more of Peter trying to resist at the end of that boss fight. But overall, everything in the story really feels like they went pretty well within it. And it gives breathing room for the DLC to appear and what they could possibly do. And I know some people have said that some of the DLC may have been leaked. I haven't seen anything of it because I want to stay fresh. So the main story of this game takes about 17 hours to beat. And that's if you're doing really well. The side missions as well take about 23 and a half hours. And I like to do both, mix and match. Now, there are a total... Hang on. Wait, what's this? Oh, right. One thing I also want in the sequel was a vaster map. Not just doing a small bit of New York, but doing all of New York. And we actually got that, which is why the glide suit is perfect. It helps us get around quicker, and we get to enjoy a whole lot of the of New York, and it's beautifully done. Also, I'm just going to say this. I'm probably going to say it in a future video, but Tony Todd is Venom. Yes, this was an amazing choice, and that creepy, raspy voice of his, it's something that was definitely needed to amp up Venom, because if the voice of Harry was just revitalized and made into like a voice for Venom, it wouldn't have worked well. So I gotta give credit to Tony Todd where credit is due. Now, again, going into one of the few things that people found annoying, yes, the MJ missions were back, but they weren't as irritating as the first game. For one reason, I buy that in the 10 months since Miles Morales to now, and the fact that her and Peter went to Sicaria, and the fact that that Peter befriended Silver Sable, I buy that MJ would have taken a couple martial arts class, well, not martial arts classes, but some training lessons with her. And she's got her laser pistol. So, well, a lot of people mock that and are still irritated that the MJ missions are still in the game. At least it's not like you get spotted and you have to restart, guys. At least you get the option to basically blast the guys away and to do the stealth mission sections. And again, it's not a small gripe. There aren't that many of them, guys. And the one where we actually have to leave the house and go after Symbiote Peter and run from him, it's a suspenseful mission, and it's done perfectly. It's really done well. And there are a total of 11 amazing boss fights in this game, and they are all done to the high standard that the previous games, the first Spider-Man game gave us, because Miles had 4, and 2 of them were the exact same guy. So, yeah. And again, I still love that the MJ missions were kept on the shorter side and not happening so very often. Okay, that's a lie. I think there's about 3 each in each chapter. I think, but I could be wrong. Again, it's a small gripe. And then we get the 15 amazing side missions within this game. Also, before I go to that, I just want to say this. Why was J. Jonah Jameson in the Sandman beginning and we never get to see him throughout the rest of the game? Is JJ just your running gag, guys? Why? And I had to write down every single side mission just to do it because I'm detail-oriented this way. We get after the main mission, after the prologue of the game, we have Sandman missions where we find crystals throughout the city where Flint Marco's memories are, indicating why he went rampant, because he gets locked up immediately to the raft after the first mission, and we want to know what made him, because obviously Kraven's men were hunting him. And after we fight a couple of his sand creations, we get the fragments. And I love that the fragments are shaped as you collect them. They kind of form a statue of Flint Marco, of Flint holding his daughter, which I do love. And we kind of get a little background of why he was doing it, and I do love it. We've got the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man missions where we can do them, and as the story goes, you can use either Spider-Man to do each mission. So I do love that. And the one that made me hurt the most was Howard the Pigeon guy. It took us 2 games. Throat. I've only known this dude for 2 games. He's not a main character of any Spider-Man thing, but you guys made me feel for him. I hate you. Then we get the Emily May Foundation that are science missions where you have to do some puzzles and navigate electric bees in order to do a couple things for Henry's new foundation of using science and technology to help people, to heal the world. And I do like these missions. They're kind of like the research ones that we did in the first game. We have these small bit of side missions for Miles, which is the Cultural Museum, which they have a couple side missions, but not too many, which is great. We got the photography missions where we get to take pictures of famous locations throughout New York, which I do love. We get the Brooklyn Visions. I don't remember those. Whatever. We've got the Hunter Blinds and Bases, which are basically your typical defeat the enemies, download data, and then you get to find the bases where Kraven's men are situated throughout the city. And then we get one that's specifically for Miles, the Mysteriums, where during the main game, Quentin Beck returns and has these kind of VR-ish settlements set up throughout the level where certain people are trapped and we got to fight to save them. But the fun thing is that each one has their own set of rules. For example, you have to use abilities to take out the enemies. You have to avoid taking damage, which I do love. They're basically the challenges that you have to do. And the story that goes along with it, I do love, because it throws me for a loop thinking, okay, they're not going to do this. Okay, maybe they are going to do this. Oh, wait, they didn't. And they screwed me over twice. So in this game, 6 villains get killed. 1, aka Tombstone, is in the main story, but then we never see him again. And this one with Mysterio, a bunch of villains either die or get redeemed in this game. I'll get to that when I'm done. And again, the Mysterium side missions are really fun, and you can do them over and over again in order to do your score better. I mean, let's face it, at least it's not those missions. So be thankful for that. We've got photos, like I said. We got Prowler stashes where you gotta as Miles, you have to look at all the different caches that Prowler left behind before he bailed. And it kind of brings a story of him and his brother to Miles about each location where he hid stuff. It's a kind of good way of, him kind of apologizing for working with the bad guys last game. We got the spider bots, which I love the spider bots. In areas of the game, you will find the interdimensional spider bots that look exactly like all other versions of Spider-Man. We got the Noir one, we got Spider-Ham, we got Gwen, and some that look like the villains, Vulture, Prowler, Shocker. And collecting them all are so cool, especially since after collecting them all, you get a small cutscene. Okay, I'm just going to say it. Please don't have anything to do with the Spider-Verse in the next game, please. We already have movies about it. You don't need to add them into the video game. Then we have the symbiote nests, which appear right at the third act when Venom takes over the area, and there's little nests where Venom symbiote monsters are coming out, and you gotta destroy them all and plant the EMPs and defend it. Which again, I don't really like defending missions, but these ones aren't so bad. And plus, with the anti-venom abilities, it's great. We have the unidentified targets where the bird drones are scouring the city for someone, and every time, and this is basically a follow the path with the glide suit kind of mission, and they will be throwing a lot of shit your way as you have to wait for it to download. They're irritating at best, but a mild nuisance at worst. And after we find out after we load it up, it kind of brings the side story a little bit where, and again, both characters can do these ones, where the targets they're identifying are all people who are deceased, which to me didn't really make sense until we find out it's basically a side mission that Kraven's brother, aka the Chameleon, has been hiding from him, using the identities of dead people to, stave off suspicion. Really, you needed to make him Kraven's brother? Really? And the final one, we get the Flame, which returns our favorite rogue cop, Yuri, aka Wrath. Now, the whole thing of her becoming Wrath at the end of the third episode of the DLC and a side mission that shows she's gone off the deep end is kind of offsetting of the tone that we ended it with her in the DLC to now, where she's kind of more calm and collective. Although great boss fight, I'm not gonna lie. And then that twist that we get at the end of the side mission with the Flame persona. Holy shit, I did not see it coming. You guys know exactly how to foreshadow future villains, and you guys did a great job of it. Oh boy. Yeah, I talked about that. And, okay, one thing I really do love in this game, I love the relationship stuff with Peter and MJ. I just wish that there was more of it. I mean, a good number of times they kind of voiced out their own issues, and that one boss fight was weird and very challenging, but at the same time, it was great seeing them get out all their negative stuff and kind of move on a little bit. And I love the fact that we get more stuff with Miles and Haley, especially at the end of the game, like the epilogue. I love cute moments in video games. I love couples. I love a little bit of romance. I love it. And it's done so well. I just wish that there were some side missions to kind of build up their relationship and everything. I mean, maybe they'll get some in the DLC. I'm hoping. But they had to ruin it with the ending of who Rio Morales has been dating as they come for dinner. And he brings his daughter, a.k.a. she's another Spider Girl. Which, guys, this is another issue with the game that I had. They're adding too much. They're adding way too much into the game. They're basically saying there's going to be a third Spider-Man or Spider-Girl in the next game. But no. Let's just stick with the two that we got, because obviously, I mean, canonly, Peter may be still retired, or maybe he'll return, obviously, to help. And I'm mad that the Black Cat thing kind of ended with Miles, and we didn't get Black Cat with symbiote Peter. I mean, I loved it when they did it in the Spectacular Spider-Man. We never got it in the original Spider-Man cartoon. But they really got... This is just a big problem I don't like with the game so much. It's almost like they're getting rid of the old Vanguard and to make way for the new stuff, because they got rid of 6 villains. 3 of them are now redeemed. One of them is still out on the loose. One of them is making peace with the fact that his daughter is safe from Kraven's men. And one of them is hopefully going to return. One of them is going to finally rise up and give us hopefully one of the best boss fights I could ever imagine. I may have to hold off a boss fight list just to see if this happens. And now you're trying to give us a brand new Spider-Man or Spider-Girl character. This game, everything in this game was great. Story-wise, everything did its job. It was very interesting to see a different take on the Venom saga that a whole bunch of people love. But I get that they're bringing out taking out the old and welcoming into the new, because now there are so many new villains that they could do that aren't Peter's, that Miles could have. Like they could do Hydro Man. They could do Alistair Smythe, like I said. He's a great idea to bring forth to be Miles' personal villain. Who else? They've hinted at Carnage coming out into the web work, which I wouldn't mind. It would be pretty interesting. But yeah, with a whole bunch of the villains gone and a bunch of villains still left to be made, I'm interested. This game it's nothing like the very first game. And it's miles ahead of the Miles Morales game. But there are just some things that kind of tackle it a little bit. Great side missions, great story with a little hiccups here and there with certain characters. Having the whole personal battle between Peter and Miles with their own respective ways definitely adds this game into one of my favorites. Because, yeah, they're superheroes, but they're still human with real problems. And with everything that we get in this game, and with the DLCs hopefully coming out this year, hopefully, there's not much more I can say about it. So GamerK's final verdict for Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is a decadent 8 out of 10. The game definitely has a few hiccups when it comes to some pacing stuff. It gives off a lot of emotion. It gives off a lot of action, a lot of it gives us a lot that is what makes a superhero game a superhero game. Because, yeah, we all want to play as the superpowered characters, but for me, I love the bits where we do get to be Peter and Miles respectively, because they're not just the heroes, they're men, and to see them do basic stuff throughout the game, it brings forth their humanity and their own personalities within each scenario, which I love immensely. So that's my verdict. That's my thoughts. And I hope, again, the final chapter that they're hinted on ends on a high note instead of succumbing to a big issue with superhero games lately. Only time will tell. Now I'm just going to be sitting here waiting for the DLC for this game. And again, I'm hoping that we get something truly spectacular. And thank you for joining me for this video, ladies and gentlemen. Like, comment, subscribe down below. And join me next week where I end Spider Month as we go wicked once again with the main villain of this game, actually. We get to Venomize into one of my favorite card games. This is GamerK, logging out.